Celebrity fast fashion collaborations are nothing new, but this one feels so much worse. Nike is teaming up with none other than Kim Kardashian's $4 billion shapewear brand SKIMS to create NikeSKIMS. Despite what their marketing team's telling you, this collaboration is not going to empower women, it's just going to accelerate fashion's contribution to climate breakdown. It's also totally going against Nike's own sustainability commitments. And it's gonna end up in landfill, so stick around until the end of this video for all of my top recommendations for better places to spend your money that aren't on NikeSKIMS. But first of all, why am I so riled up about this? Rita Ora and Primark, Naomi Campbell and Pretty Little Thing, these partnerships are not a new phenomenon. I've spoken about them on this channel before, but this one is so blatantly a money grab, dressed up in some fake girl power values that I just think it deserved its own video. Let's make a pact, just you and me. We are not parting with our hard-earned money for fast fashion collaborations that no one asked for, that are just going to continue to keep the wheel spinning on this machine that is fast fashion brands killing the planet with no respect for the people actually making the clothes. Let's get on with the rest of the video. In case you missed it, Nike and SKIMS are teaming up to offer, quote, training apparel, footwear, and accessories designed to meet the unique needs and preferences of women athletes around the world, and delivering product that is meticulously designed to sculpt and perform for every body. Except, they're not really though, are they? Because whilst apparently it's grounded in innovation and an unrivaled belief in women, spoiler, both Nike and SKIMS could not give less of a crap about the women in the supply chains making these garments. And both of them have used the idea of empowering women as this sort of hashtag marketing tactic slogan, rather than a core belief and a core value that's actually present in how they treat the women that they work with as a business. What fair fashion activists like the Clean Clothes campaign, for example, have wanted from Nike for years is for them to pay the $2.2 million worth of stolen wages that they still owe their garment workers. Oh, you didn't know about that one? Yeah, they didn't put that one in the press release for some reason. But what we got was NikeSKIMS. It's no coincidence that this collaboration is dropping as Nike is seeing dropping profits every quarter and losing ground to Adidas, whose shoes have been breaking marathon records left, right, and center. I mean, I guess that's what you get when you take your laughable sustainability commitments so far that you're willing to create a single-use shoe just to break marathon records, as Adidas did. But that's a topic for another video, which you can check out over here. So Nike is struggling, profits are dropping, CEOs are being switched out faster than it takes for the latest it girl sneaker trend to be over with. So what do they need to turn it all around? They need to go into business with Kim Kardashian and her 375 million Instagram followers, of course. They want to do this so that they can keep growing as a brand, but I hate to break it to them, infinite growth on a finite planet is just not sustainable. They're fighting a losing battle. Just another day under capitalism, folks. If you think SKIMS is all about diversity, inclusion, making women feel good, you can think again. Kim Kardashian's shapewear brand, which was founded in 2019 and is already valued at $4 billion, has been celebrated as innovative and revolutionary for creating underwear and clothing designed to perfectly complement the female form. They sell products in a variety of colorways to accommodate different skin tones, and their sizes range from XXS to 5X. Not that you know it from their social media marketing, I present Exhibit A. The fact that every single model on their feed is skinny and or meets the current beauty standards, which are incidentally, totally coincidentally, mirrored off of Kim Kardashian's own figure. And then there's Exhibit B, which is, I don't even know how to introduce this, just roll the clip.
Why is everything so hard? Come on now, stand up. I know. I should stand up. I should work for the body that I want. But I just can't. I'm doing so much already. I'm getting protein, I'm eating healthy, so much water. I get my hair dyed, my body wax. I just can't do it anymore. Can't there just be one thing in life that's easy? Can't there just be one thing, Kim Kardashian?
I'm not Kim.
Chloe?
No, I am Kim, but today I'm also your fairy butt mother.
My fairy butt mother?
I'm here to make one thing easier in your life. With SKIMS new shapewear, you can get a butt, boobs, and amazing curves immediately. Just with a bippity, buppity, boob.
The message that this ad sends is that the entire point of women exercising is for them to build a butt that you can see from space, one that breaks the internet. SKIMS is solving this problem for us so kindly by selling us some push-up leggings. Oh, don't worry, you don't actually need to move your body for your mental and physical well-being. You just need to consume. You just need to consume. Just buy something, they'll make it all go away, I promise. I feel like I'm in apple cider vinegar. Have you guys watched that? Because I've just finished watching it, and you know, some of the stuff that influencers and brands say these days is actually like pretty similar to Belle Gibson vibes.
I want to do an app.
Just buy these leggings and that will make all of your problems just go away. Except that it won't, because this isn't actually a problem. It's something that's been created, it's been engineered by a culture that Kim Kardashian herself has created. Funny how that works, isn't it? Funny thing is, you don't actually need leggings that give you a butt lift. You don't need a bigger bum at all. I know it's like revolutionary to some people, but like, you don't. What you should do is move your body to feel good physically and mentally, and you know, to be healthy. And you would think that a brand, a sportswear brand that works with so many athletes like Nike, that would be their whole thing, right? They'd be so down for that. So why the hell are they partnering with SKIMS? It really reminds me of that meme of Anakin where he's like, I'm gonna change the world, and Padme's like, for the better, right? And she's like, for the better, right? It blows my mind that SKIMS is the collaborator that Nike have decided to partner with. After decades and decades of this messaging and marketing campaigns from Nike telling us that girls can do everything that boys can do, and they can go out and they can kick ass and they can just take on sports and love them and really commit to them in the same way that boys can, and they can be aggressive and they can go after what they want, they are choosing to collaborate with a brand that is telling perfectly healthy looking slim women who already conform to the white slim beauty ideal that they need to change their bodies. So I was thinking, like, in what universe do those two sets of values make sense, right? How does this collaboration make sense? Until I realized, yeah, when you learn that Nike might talk the talk when it comes to women's empowerment, but they really struggle to walk the walk, a lot of things start to slot into place. The truth is that at the heart of them, at the core, neither of these brands are about women or for women. Certainly not the women that are actually making their clothes. 80% of the people making our clothes are women, and massive brands like Nike do not treat them how they should. Sexism, abuse, long hours, low pay, and poor working conditions are still very common in these supply chains. Clean Clothes campaign states it would take just 10 cents more per garment for Nike to provide a living wage. What they say is just a drop in the ocean for Nike, who earned $21 billion in the 2021 to 2022 financial year. Nike has long been plagued by a history of using sweatshops. Whilst it's improved a bit since the 1990s when this was first exposed, they still refuse to allow the Worker Rights Consortium to independently monitor their factories, and they also contributed to wage theft during the pandemic when lots of workers were furloughed or dismissed and denied pay. Good On You, which is a platform that rates fashion brands based on a wide range of sustainability and ethics criteria, has rated Nike a 2 out of 5. not good enough. Partly because Nike does not seem to have visibility over their full supply chain. You can watch this video next where I go even deeper into the shady business that is Nike, but the bottom line is they do not do a lot to empower the women in their supply chains or even provide them with livable wages. Never mind empowerment, let's just have like decent human rights first. Okay, what about its athletes, right? The ones that are appearing in their ads, like the really inspiring Super Bowl ad, right? That they played not that long ago. Surely they treat them really well. Yeah, you can think again. Are you getting, this is like a pattern that's emerging, right? A few years ago, several female athletes sponsored by Nike spoke out about the brand's treatment of them. Allyson Felix, the most decorated track and field athlete of all time, got a 70% pay cut when she had a baby. Alicia Montano faced similar treatment with her own pregnancy, and Mary Kane has shared her story of abuse at the hands of Nike-endorsed coaches at one of the best running training programs in America. To be fair to Nike, because I like to be fair, it's not all so black and white. They have done a lot of good for getting girls into sports. Nike has introduced a whole host of initiatives to give more girls and kids from minority groups access to play and sports around the world. Made to Play, for example, is Nike's global initiative to get kids moving, especially girls and kids from marginalized communities. They say that knowing that access to the right apparel and equipment can be a barrier to sports for many girls, we've donated 75,000 Nike swoosh sports bras and 3,000 Nike Pro hijabs through our community partners to girls around the world. In London, they created Girls United, a program to give underrepresented girls more access to play and sport through soccer sessions, game days, and active workshops that showcase female role models for both girls and boys. But still, you can't send out the message that you want girls to strive for excellence, to keep grinding, to keep trying, to be aggressive in going after the things that they want, just like boys are, and at the same time be ignoring the very real experiences of the women in your supply chains or the athletes that you work with. And that brings us to the crux of the matter, because it seems like Nike is just a little bit inconsistent. And why does it struggle so much to be consistent? Well, when you get to having a company of that size, it just becomes incredibly difficult to sustain any kind of policies across the entire supply chain, across all different arms of the business, across the world, right? It's just way too big for anyone to have oversight over. And so as brands like this get bigger and bigger and bigger, they will struggle to meet any kind of environmental or social responsibility policies that they set in place that weren't there at the very start of the brand when they started growing. Because retrofitting this stuff on afterwards is so much harder when you get to the level that Nike's at, rather than if you were to embed those values into a business that you were starting today. It's a little bit off topic, but this is exactly what I've seen happening with IKEA, for example. They've got all these kind of environmental and sustainability commitments in place, and they are doing really well with some of them, but it's just such a massive company that they just do not have visibility over everything. So there are cases where it's been found that there have been breaches of what they've said they're going to commit to in terms of not having wood that comes from deforestation, like things like that, you know? So you can check out this other video that I've done about IKEA next if you're interested in that. But back to NikeSKIMS, I guess that given that neither of these brands actually hold to their self-professed female empowerment values, maybe they really are a match made in heaven. You know who else is a really great match? I think you and me, I think we've got a bit of chemistry going on here. I think maybe we're hitting it off a little bit. Maybe it's just me. If it's just me, it's so embarrassing. But maybe we should make it official. Maybe you should like hit the little subscribe button. As the saying goes, when the going gets tough, throw your sustainability goals out the window, am I right? Nike has set several goals that they wanted to meet by 2025 and 2030 to make their business more sustainable. That includes things like 0.5 metric imperial tons less of greenhouse gas emissions through increasing our use of environmentally preferred materials to 50% of all key materials, polyester, cotton, leather and rubber, 100% waste diverted from landfill in our extended supply chain with at least 80% of waste recycled back into Nike products and other goods, and 25% reduction of freshwater usage per kilogram in textile dyeing and finishing. They release detailed sustainability reports every year to track how well they're doing against these targets, which is great. You can't change what you can't track. Visibility is great. But let me just draw your attention to the fact that this thing is 210 pages long. Who is going to sit there and read 210 pages of this stuff? If anything, they're just going to read the summary, which Nike can just curate to highlight the wins and downplay the failings, and cherry pick whatever they want from the report. As we know, the devil's in the details. Some of the wins in their latest report include a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions of 69% from owned and operated facilities, 100% of waste being diverted from landfills in their tier 1 manufacturing facilities, and increasing the percentage of their polyester which is recycled from 23% in 2020 to 56% in 2023. But at the same time, when you actually have the time to dig into that report, you find things like how the amount of leather they are using has actually increased from 51.6 metric tons to 66.5 metric tons from 2020 to 2023. Granted, 36% of that is now lower carbon impact leather versus 20% in 2020. Leather is still a really energy intensive material, and that's to say nothing of the animal rights issues. At the same time, their use of organic cotton, and third-party certified cotton have stayed pretty much constant. It's interesting how they've justified things in the report. The increase in emissions versus the baseline is primarily due to business growth, continued popularity of higher carbon intensity materials and footwear, such as leather, and the rising emissions intensity of the electricity grid in primary manufacturing regions, particularly Vietnam. Efforts to compensate for inevitable emissions increases associated with growth include adoption of renewable energy by suppliers in the supply chain, transition to recycled materials, reduction in waste sent to landfill, and decreases in inbound air freight. So in a nutshell, they've actually increased their emissions because of the growth of the company and also because of the popularity of certain styles, which happen to be the leather ones. And really, when you think about it, there's no way that they're going to scale back on making the leather stuff if it's selling, because you have to remember that Nike and corporations and companies like Nike are not purpose-driven, they're not mission-driven, they are driven by profit. If something's selling, no matter how bad it is for people on the planet, they're gonna keep selling it to you. A final thing that I want to draw out of this report, because it's quite technical and I think often misunderstood or glossed over, is the fact that whilst they have achieved a reduction of 73% in Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions since 2015, their Scope 3 emissions have actually gone up. Okay, so what does that mean, right? Scope 1 emissions are those that come directly from sources owned or controlled by the company, like the emissions from company-owned cars. Scope 2 is emissions from purchased energy that the company uses, like electricity used to power their offices, which they are switching to be renewable, to be fair. But these are totally and absolutely dwarfed by Scope 3 emissions in an industry like fashion. Scope 3 emissions are things that occur outside the direct operations, but are linked to their supply chain. So growing the cotton, fossil fuels used to make polyester, emissions from disposing of products, aka sending sneakers to landfill. If you look at this chart of their emissions, you can see how it doesn't really matter that much what they do about Scope 1 and Scope 2 if they don't tackle Scope 3, which so far they've failed to do. Again, Nike is just so big that it's going to be really difficult for them to affect changes that are meaningful across its entire supply chain when we also consider Scope 3. So will a partnership with SKIMS help Nike to get back on track, to really meet those sustainability goals? No. no, because SKIMS is even worse. Good on You gave SKIMS a not good enough rating, just like Nike. This is up from last time I made a video about the Kardashians, when it was we avoid so big wins, but they still don't disclose enough information about their actions to reduce their impact. Let's have a look at their sustainability page. And I say sustainability page, but really it's more of like an FAQ hidden in the depths of the site. It's not on the homepage or in the menu or anything, of course not. SKIMS has committed to reduce absolute Scope 1 and Scope 2 GHG emissions 42% by 2030 from a 2021 base year. But we have just seen how Scope 3 is really what matters, so that doesn't mean a lot. SKIMS is proud to partner with SuperCircle, a full-service technology and reverse logistics platform powering recycling for the world's best retail brands. Okay, how much are they recovering? How are they recovering that? Tell me more about this proposed circularity, because their products are not designed to be circular. And what I mean by that is they're not designed with materials that are easy to remake into new products at the end of their life. Like, all of their products are blended materials, which I'll come on to in just a second. SKIMS has contributed $1 million to Charm, Heirloom, and Vaulted Deep, innovative startups developing new technology to remove carbon from the atmosphere. Right, well, how about not releasing those emissions in the first place rather than relying on like carbon capture technology to get it back from the atmosphere? How about we just tackle the cause rather than treat the symptoms later on, you know? So let's look at some of their bestsellers to see, you know, what they're made from and what makes them so tricky from a sustainability perspective. The long sleeve t-shirt, 90% cotton, 10% elastane. Cotton is a really thirsty crop and usually uses a lot of fertilizers. Organic and recycled cotton would be so much better. This teardrop push-up bra is 84% nylon and 16% elastane. This bodysuit is 61% polyamide and 39% elastane. So how is this going to align with Nike's sustainability goals? If this really blows up for them and is a massive success, which obviously they are hoping that it will be because that's why they're doing it, right? Then isn't that just going to set back all the progress that they've made? I can imagine that working in the sustainability team at Nike has got to be just tough. Like, my heart goes out to you. It must be so tough working in the sustainability or social responsibility department for a brand that is literally just existing to make more money for shareholders. Like, sorry about that. If you want any more confirmation about where Kim Kardashian's values really lie when it comes to climate change or sustainability, all you need to do is look at this ad from a couple years ago where they were promoting this nipple bra so that even though the planet is burning up, you can still look cold.
The Earth's temperature is getting hotter and hotter. The sea levels are rising. The ice sheets are shrinking. And I'm not a scientist, but I do believe everyone can use their skill set to do their part. That's why I'm introducing a brand new bra with a built-in nipple. So no matter how hot it is, you'll always look cold.
I hope by now it's clear that NikeSKIMS might be the perfect coupling when it comes to how they actually feel about sustainability and how they actually feel about women's empowerment. But if you want to actually support women and promote a future for fashion that isn't totally destructive of everything that we know and love, maybe like don't actually buy it. But you still need clothes, alas. At least last time I checked, that was one of the rules that society imposes on us, sadly. So here are some alternative brands for you to shop from that are not Nike or SKIMS. Number 1, Not Basics. This brand began by upcycling dead stock t-shirts into underwear, addressing fashion waste. Today, Not Basics offers a diverse range of comfortable, ethically produced apparel, including bodysuits, t-shirts, leggings. The brand prioritizes eco-friendly materials like certified organic cotton and dead stock fabrics, producing in small batches to minimize overproduction. It's committed to fair labor practices, and they ensure workers receive fair wages and operate in healthy conditions. They are also a member of 1% for the Planet, donating a portion of revenue to environmental causes. Number 2 is Tala, which is founded by Grace Beverly, entrepreneur extraordinaire who actually does care about women. The company produces clothing using upcycling materials and recycling materials, aiming to make eco-friendly activewear, but has also expanded into shapewear-like basics that feel like shapewear but don't look like underwear, as well as jackets, blazers, workwear. The brand emphasizes ethical manufacturing practices, ensuring fair labor conditions and minimizing environmental impact. Parla is probably the closest that exists at the moment to really challenging SKIMS and their dominance in this space. That said, they do use mixed materials and their branding is a little overconsumption FOMO coded at times, which I do sometimes struggle with. But that's the price that Grace has said she is willing to pay in order to make products in this category that are more sustainable and more ethical, but still at an accessible price point to rival brands like SKIMS or Gymshark, which are really crap in all of those categories. Number 3 is Organic Basics. I love Organic Basics. This is a Copenhagen-based brand dedicated to sustainable and ethical fashion. They prioritize low-impact materials using over 75% plant-based fibers, including GOTS-certified organic cotton, and over 15% recycled materials like recycled nylon. Their commitment to ethical production is evident through partnerships with factories adhering to strict environmental and social standards such as GOTS and GRS certifications. The brand offsets its carbon emissions and is a member of the 1% for the planet as well, donating again to environmental causes. Also, Organic Basics provides detailed care instructions to extend product lifespan and encourages conscious consumption. I have a lot of Organic Basics underwear, and I also recommend their basics for things like hoodies or t-shirts too. And finally, I wanted to mention BAM, Bamboo Clothing. This is a UK brand that prioritizes using bamboo, which requires minimal water and pesticides to grow and has a low environmental impact if it's made the right way. BAM has 3 core pillars to their sustainability efforts: people, ensuring fair wages and treatment; nature, developing a circular range of clothing; and climate, aiming to remove more carbon from the atmosphere than they emit. They have certifications like the Fair Wear Foundation and Okotex, and they also partner with Sharewear, a charity dedicated to eliminating clothing poverty and reducing waste in the UK, and they are also a B Corp. They have a much wider range of products, including outdoor products as well, like cozy fleeces. So it's actually probably not going to be that hard to avoid NikeSKIMS when you have all of these great alternatives available online. And if anyone's making the argument that these sustainable alternatives are always so much more expensive, let's bear in mind that Kim Kardashian's bras are £60 a pop, okay? So like, do you actually not want to pay for sustainable living wages, looking after the climate, sustainable materials, or do you actually just want the clout that comes with wearing something made by Kim Kardashian? The Kardashians don't actually need your money, which leads perfectly onto this video right here. So watch that one next and I will catch you over there.